My name is Joyce, and this channel is Medusa was found. You can find more of my work at unguruyourlife.com. A private business club, research team, and lifestyle ensemble. Hey guys, this is Joyce at Medusa Was Framed. I'm doing an interview for Unguru tonight with my new friend I'm so happy to meet. This is Deja. She goes by the Root Doctress. And so would you please tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your work? And
Totally. Yes. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Excited to be here. So, yeah, I'm Deja, also known as the Root Doctress. I'm called the Root Doctress because in my culture, in my lineage, coming from hoodoo, I work with plants, not only medicinally, but spiritually. So, I work with plants making plant medicine, which I sell online, and then I work with plants spiritually, which I document on my YouTube channel. Currently, I've been working with sacred sites throughout the Bay Area and been also making videos about mer magic, siren lineage, and just sharing ancient stories and connecting with the community.
so we connected because Deja had viewed one of my videos. I don't remember which one. And I think the comment you made was blood of Medusa here, respect, or something like that. To which I, of course, looked at your YouTube profile and saw that you had a channel and what you did. And it's like, oh,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
this is my people right here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I definitely felt the same way when I saw the Medusa Was Framed channel title. I had to reach out.
All of that feminine energy that's coming to the surface. So, did you want to maybe share your website and talk a little bit about what you do and your botanicals?
Yeah, I will start that now. Okay, so this is my website. Currently, I'm focused solely on herbal tinctures, which is what I do. And there are 4 focuses: energy, PMS, menstrual, mood support, and menopause. So these tinctures are based in herbal Chinese medicine practices, and I partner with a local Chinese medicinal apothecary in Oakland. I'm also at Mandela Grocery Co-op, which you can buy in store if you're local to the Bay Area. Our most popular one is solar power, which helps with energy, and it also has adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha. It has ginger, ginseng. Men really like this because the holy basil and other herbs help with libido, and you really feel like that spurts of energy throughout the day, but it's not overwhelming like caffeine. And
I love Tulsi.
Oh yes, Tulsi, yes. And then also on my website, I have a blog where I document different discoveries that I come across, like in my meditations, throughout just journeying, just journeying through life and my dreams. And yeah, so that's my website.
So I understand all the things you do. I'm familiar with hoodoo and root work and all those things, but not everybody watching the video might be. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So let's focus first on hoodoo. My family comes from Louisiana, and whether they were a part of the enslaved trade or indigenous to the land, they adopted long practiced religions and spiritual practices into something called hoodoo. And hoodoo is it's a synchronized practice that works with roots, herbs, the land, ancestors, to bring about what we call workings and conditions to basically be aligned in your life path. And then on the more religious side of it, we have hoodoo that are synchronized with Catholic saints. So in my practice, it can be synchronized with any religion. It's just you working with plants, making medicinal things, and a lot of midwife work and things like that. And then with voodoo, that works with more of what people would call deities or loas. And yeah, so that's a little synopsis on that. And when I go to my sacred sites, I do work a lot with different loas. And I am of the Mer Siren lineage, which is connected to Medusa. So I'm mainly focused on portal work. I'm a portal guardian. So
Wonderful. So yeah, before we pressed record, we talked for 2 hours. I think I just looked at the clock. We talked for at least 2 hours about the work we do is so similar in for the earth. We might have different names for what we do. We do grid work, work with the water, work with trees, stones, the stones of the water, the stones in the water, the stones in the earth, and the elemental spirits and ancestral spirits that come through there. Do you want to share a little bit? I get questions all the time about grid work. Do you want to talk about your version of grid work a little bit?
sure.
A lot of people are unfamiliar. I mean, we're talking the same language, but a lot of people don't know what we're talking about here.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, I'll just talk about my experience. My experience with grid work is that, okay, so we have the globe, and there are energetic lines and centers that are throughout this earth, right? And being in the Bay Area, I can literally go out to a pasture, so much stuff. And either, let's say, like she said, go to a tree, and the tree will have stories and show you a vortex. And I will go there and open it up. And if there's any malefic things that are not meant to be there, I will dispel them. Or if there are things that want to speak and stories to be told, I will receive those stories and just work with the energies there. And then you have the other side, which I call occult geomancy, which is maybe your courthouses, your police departments, government buildings that are usually built upon ancient burial grounds, ceremonial centers. And if I go there, then I am heavily focused on learning the stories that are buried beneath government buildings and occult statues. So to me, that's grid work. It's working with the earth grid. And yeah.
Yes. So for instance, amongst the Aboriginal people in Australia, they call them storylines, I believe.
That's beautiful.
And a tradition, as I understand it, is the elders will take the youngsters at a certain age when it's time for them to pass on that hearing and that learning, and they'll take the young boys and girls and they'll walk the lines with them. You're feeling this. It's so powerful. They walk the lines with them so that that next generation can tune into the frequency to hear, to keep it alive. And I feel like because of all the magnetic things that have been going on and changes, that the ley lines really are lighting back up, which means the water is changing, which means all these sites that we work on, these star forts, these battle sites, these, you just did some work at Fort Mason in San Francisco, right? We were talking about Fort Point. Though the Antiquitech there doesn't work anymore, those sites are going to be energized in new ways, which I already hear it. I already hear the static. I'm sure you do too.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. And when we talk about storylines and being walked so that the information can stay within generation, I really see that bridge like going from the 3D to the astral, meaning even if you don't have an elder to walk you through these storylines on the physical ground, they can come to you in whispers in your ear, in your dreams, in deep gut feelings. So I just want to just tell people that you are still being walked through those storylines, even if you don't have a physical hand guiding you. So I would say, yes, the ley lines are definitely lighting up for me in ways that are new because we have new work to be done these days, right? And connecting back with just Medusa because we know about Medusa's eyes. So for me, perception is really important because I actually have vision in only one eye. So yeah. So even how I see death and color is already different. So adding on that layer of this new light up of earth is just overwhelmingly joyful because I perceive things in a different way already when it comes to perception.
I do
So,
too.
okay, so you're feeling me on that, you know? So, talk about seeing things and then turn to stone. It's like I'm seeing things and they're glowing. So, it's an exciting time.
And
Yeah.
you live, for people that don't know, that are hearing for the first time, you don't live in San Francisco proper, but you live across the Bay Bridge in the East Bay, which is basically one continuous effigy mound. The whole East Bay is
Mhm.
indigenous mound after indigenous mound after holy site over holy site. You live in an incredibly portentous holy place.
That's true. Yeah, even in my backyard right now, I have a humongous cedar tree that's actually taller than my house. And right behind that are
Mm,
two huge hills. And there's just so much energy there. And of course, what's on the other side of the hill? The Oakland Zoo. So that's what I mean when we have sacred sites and then we have occult geomancy usually right next to it. Um,
yes,
so we have many mounds here, and the one that's most known is the Shell Mound in Emeryville, because yeah, you know about it, right? They were building a mall, dug it up, there were bodies, then they were forced to acknowledge that it was a sacred site, and we have a memorial there so that people can know that these type of things exist.
Emeryville kind of being all filled in anyway. Emeryville's a strange
Emeryville has an
place.
interesting history. Didn't it start off as like a brothel train stop or something like that? I read about the history of Emeryville, but
Oh, I don't remember that. For people that don't know, so Emeryville is the last land on the east side of the bay before you go over the Bay Bridge to San Francisco. So yeah, and if you take Amtrak, you have to come to Emeryville to catch the train from San Francisco. So yeah, that makes sense. That's been a train track for a long time. We were talking about where you harvest your materials. So you use the cedar tree in the backyard for your tinctures?
yes, that started because I always just looked at the tree and I was like, I want to work with you. And then one day it was just like a really, really windy day. And the next day I went out to the backyard and all these beautiful big branches of cedar were on my balcony. So that was the invitation that it wanted to work with me. And for a long time, I only used those branches that were given to me, and only recently I started foraging from it. So yeah, a lot of the plants that I work with are right in my circumference. We have plethora of different trees, fauna, yeah, all type of stuff around here. I mainly work with cedar, eucalyptus, and bay leaves.
Firewater, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
Firewater's Bay. Yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So, and that's so important. And I appreciate that too, because when I used to do, we were talking about doing ceremonies and bringing people to ceremonial places. When I have done that, um, I would collect botanical things and sometimes shells for people if they wanted to make different kind of prayer bags or memory bags, right? I would cut up pieces of cloth and I would gather grasses and dried flowers and sticks and shells and all kinds of things. But it was always really important to me to take something that had already fallen. I never ripped a branch off a tree or pulled a flower out of the ground, or that was always so important. And even when I would go to the beach and collect the shells, I would ask, may I take this shell and use it on the land? Because if you take a shell off the beach, you're removing it from its cycle. You're interrupting that frequency cycle of its movement to take it off the beach. So I loved hearing you say that, because I feel very strongly about that as well.
Yeah, I do too. And it's just a reflection of my own boundaries, because I feel like once I had that self-love implemented and understand what that is, I understood how to give that to others, including plants, you know? So that's what took me to that realization of asking permission, and that things have boundaries, even yourself. So a lot of the work that people do, it can be reflected back of how you treat yourself.
Do you do conjure work at all?
Yes.
Yes.
I do plenty of conjure work. I guess my work is centered on dark goddess, dark feminine energy, accepting the shadow sides of yourself.
Medusa.
And Medusa, and implementing that throughout my exchanges every day. I recently made a blog post talking about shadow work, and a lot of the light goddesses that I know really held that blog post true. I encourage you guys to check it out, about looking in the mirror and waiting for those shadows to come. And do you run away from your own monsters? So a lot of the conjure work I focus on is like war, blood, lymphatic system, detox. And that is in the synergy of Tuesday, Mars, Sekhmet, Lilith, and Abana, Oya, and things like that.
Can people contact you to help them with conjure work and different specific herbal combinations? Is that on your website too? Or that's
Totally. It's not on my website. I try to have my blog be a central education piece where you can learn through my own experience to make it accessible. I've had my Instagram page, Root Doctress, for over 8 years. I've been doing this for over 10 years. And it actually started as an educational blog where I basically journal my experiences so you can learn as someone does the work, you know.
best way to learn.
Yeah, right. And it's been a great trip. So I encourage you, I encourage people to follow me on Instagram at the Root Doctress, and subscribe to my blog, www.therootdoctress.com. And of course, if you have any questions, comment, email, or DM, and we can work from there. I do work, but I do it upon request, just because I've been so focused on the sacred sites. But I'm always here to help. And people know me in my own community, and they do reach out for that type of stuff for sure. So, yeah.
So your legacy, I think you mentioned your grandmother was from the Virgin Islands. Were you now? I know. I know in different ancient traditions, I think in voodoo, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't wake up and say, I want to do this work. An elder chooses you, right?
Yes, that's right. So my grandmother is from Louisiana, and we go back to Louisiana in that lineage, maybe basically 5 generations back. And her paternal side came from Louisiana, and then my mom's dad paternal side came from Louisiana. So we're gonna have to do this. Let me just back this up. So basically, I have 4 lineages in Louisiana dating back at least 5 generations. 2 of those lineages from separate sides of my mom's family came from the Virgin Islands and then settled in Louisiana.
Okay.
These 4 lineages in the intermarrying, not only in Louisiana, but also in the Bay Area. So my lineages really run deep, and people know the last names that I come from in the Bay Area. Okay, so now we talk about choosing the work, or did the work choose you? In hoodoo, it's a very solo work. So that means that there's usually one person within a lineage that has been chosen to do it, and it's not communal based. You learn most of what you learn either through your dreams or people coming up to you and teaching you slowly, or going out in solitude in nature in the ways showing you. And it's about just self belief in knowing that this is what it is and this is what I'm supposed to do. So no conjuring and root work will look alike. And this is really important for people to know. Okay, now with voodoo. Voodoo is ancestral lineage, meaning the Loa that you are connected with are literally ancestors that were on this land that you are related to, which is why if someone chooses to be initiated, you have a certain Loa associated with you, okay, and a certain court of spirits associated with you. These are people that chose to work with you. You can't choose to work with them because they're literally on your team. They're family, okay? Now, this is the difference between, let's say, a priestess and a witch, okay? So you can be initiated into voodoo if that's what you want to be a part of, but understand you can consider it you are marrying into somebody's ancestral lineage. So that's the difference. And just to emphasize again, hoodoo is mainly working with roots. So this is your relationship to the earth elementals around you. And then voodoo is, working with the deities. So you can be hoodoo and be Catholic. You can be hoodoo and practice Hinduism, so yeah. So basically, it came to me. And when I didn't answer the call, it came to me 3 times harder.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
When did it first come? How old were you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I wish I could bring my dad in here because he's gonna be like, probably way, way, way back. So yeah, it just always came, and especially in my dreams when I was little, I just always had dreams. I was always sleeping, but it really came heavy in high school. People would come up to me and say, "You're this, you're that," and I didn't understand. And then when I didn't answer the call from the people, it would be birds coming up to me, like literally chasing me, or I would have like a dead bird on my front porch, no matter where I lived. And it made me research what it meant. And then that catapulted into a string of events where I was slowly, quote unquote, like initiated into my work. So, yeah, I guess when I was 16, high school.
Perfect. And you grew up in New Orleans?
I grew up in Oakland.
Drinking your cacao. Talk about your cacao. You work with cacao.
Yes,
You
yes.
in healing
Okay.
and ceremony. So talk about that.
Okay, yes. So I love cacao. I've been working with cacao, and coming soon I'll be doing cacao ceremony circles in the Bay Area on sacred sites. And cacao for
Wow.
me is a wonderful way to open up your heart portal and receive and transmute. It's a wonderful superfood or gift from Venus, I like to call it, to really introduce self acceptance, ignite your creativity, and be in bliss. It's so blissful and like a big warm hug. And one thing people think of cacao, it is now grown across the earth, and ceremonially cacao was used in Central America and Mexico, but also, for example, Venezuela, there were cacao plantations where people that looked like me worked on cacao plantations day and night. And I really been connecting with something called La Madama, which were which is a group of ancestral grandmothers, and they are really connected to cacao, and they've been helping me so much. So I'm really excited to bring this medicine of cacao and really share stories that are not usually shared that are associated with cacao. And the cacao that I work with is grown on Hawaii, the Big Island, on the east side in volcanic soil. So really bringing in all those different elements together. Yes, this cacao is just, it's just
So
amazing.
minerally potent.
Exactly. It is like my favorite thing when I think about cacao is the magnesium, just because I'm a dreamer and I love magnesium, but it is so potent with so many rich minerals, and the trees are healthy, and it's grown on a farm, meaning there's animals, there's a whole system. So, no child labor or over foraging of the pods. It's really ceremonial and grown with intention. So happy to bring that soon.
That's beautiful. Do you sell that?
I do not. I just plan to offer it in single serving during ceremony, but eventually I will. We do have prepackaged cacao that you can buy for at-home use that are mixed with different plant allies like taro, chile, and things like that.
Taro.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
know, because we really focused on the relationships that we actually have.
Mm-hmm.
So some people do like to mix things with cacao. So yeah, so they have a little bit of everything for a relationship that you might actually have that you want to partner with cacao.
What does a person contact a hoodoo priestess for?
Yeah, my most popular one are love readings. A lot of people, are involved with relationship issues or unsure about the partner they're with or the direction that their love life is going. And a love reading is typically using playing cards is what I use, but it can be divined with, a lot of people know tarot or bones or shells. And a love reading gives you an inner dynamic reading of what's going on. And with the love reading, I also usually suggest a love working, meaning you're actively working on the predicament of your love life. Those are the two most popular things. And then the third one, of course, would be money, money, money. People want money. They want money all the time. And that usually comes in, I do that with candle work. For
So
me,
do you make Florida water too? If people want money?
hey, I don't make Florida water because I'm so adamant about relationships, and mine is with bay leaf, and bay leaf is so potent for prosperity amongst many things. So I use bay leaf for my prosperity work, but I also really like candles for money drawing. It really draws in that prosperity energy. So yeah, those are three examples of what people usually come to me for.
We had a computer malfunction and Deja had to hop out and hop back in. So we are returning. So I think you were talking about, I had asked you about Florida water since you talked about prosperity and you talked about you make a prosperity water with bay, but then you started to talk about candles. So I think that, all this stuff, tinctures and waters, and maybe especially candles, is really super misunderstood by people. It's not bad. I mean, it can be, right? People can, all the things that are potential to do good and work with the elements can be used for bad. And that's part of what hoodoo and voodoo are so strong for, because like they're the force countering the bad that's coming at you. Did I say that right?
Sure. Yeah. I think there's a little bit of the bad and the good and the good and the bad. So the forces are very much intermingled. And with candle magic, what I find is that that flame with the color and the really acute set intention on that flame is very potent for work. traditionally in Hoodoo, we used oil lamps because we didn't have access to candles. So it has actually evolved, let's say, from oil lamps to candles. But since oil lamps are so connected to making a way out of no resource, once you light that candle, the spirits that work with us are so strong because they're really connected to that fire. And fire is connected to the bones, and your ancestors are in your bones. So it will work for you. So that's why I really love working with candles.
Your intention, your mood is part of the medicine.
Yes, that's true. It takes both of us to work together to make it happen. It's definitely a two-way street, or maybe a three-way, and that's called a feminine crossroad. But yeah.
Hecate.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, since we're talking about Medusa and Lilith, we got to get Hecate in there too. But no, I just wanted to, the integrity of the candles. My experience is that if I want a candle to work with a candle for some kind of purpose, or even I have sage and copal that I use sometimes. I can tell you exactly where I got that sage and where I got that copal, because I know the intention of the man who gathered that sage, right? Exactly. So, and it's the same with candles. I mean, I just think that this is really important, and this is stuff that people might not think about. You know, they think about, well, you know, is that organic, or they think about stuff like that, okay, for the plants, but they don't think about what you bring to this candle or this concoction or this sage bundle or whatever it is. That's just one part of the frequency exchange.
Yes. The relationship that a person has with the plants they're working with is so important. And, you know, these days we throw out words like sustainability and fair trade. So we just really need to think about those actual relationships, because it can be, fair trade and organic, but it's just a big field and they're just it's just oversaturated, and they're just pulling to make the money circle go around. But
exactly.
You know, and the same could be said with crystals. So, just mining. But all I'm saying is that please support your local artisans that are really doing the work with intention and integrity, because it takes support from community to keep those type of systems in place, to make sure that we're having a fair exchange with our kingdom allies around us.
Yeah, crystals are a big deal to me. I was actually asked about a year ago to give all my crystals back to the earth. I just have a few pieces of quartz.
Wow. Wow.
Because it's exactly what you say. I mean, crystals are the teeth of the earth, and we hack them out.
I know, it really feels like that.
I know you spoke before we hit record about your, let's say, higher dimensional connections. Do you want to talk about some of your higher beings? Do you want to share about that at all?
I mean, the energy that likes to be shown, because that's just their energy, is the Mer energy. Just so with the Mer kingdom, queendom, family, it's not only Mer maidens, but just Mer energy, Mer meaning the water. And that
dolphins, all of that.
Oh yeah, all of that. So we talked about my Fort Mason video earlier, and when I went onto the other side of the Fort Mason, meaning I crossed the Golden Gate Bridge and went to a city called Sausalito, and I went to an overlook that faces Fort Mason, dolphins started to bounce out of the water, and I was with somebody else, and the Mer energy loves to be shown. I'm with someone else, and working with them is always a pleasure. It always comes with, I would say, the shine of self, like the moonshine. So I can talk about them. So I'm a siren. I'm a literal siren. I don't know really how to talk about this, actually.
It's okay. They're higher than 12D, I believe. I believe the Mer are like 20D.
Well, yeah, it's so many layers to the mer. I'm kind of getting tongue tied. So I think that's all I could say.
It's all right. No. I just wanted to, again, we understand what we're talking about because we work in the same frequencies and we swim in the same waters in the etheric and energetic realms. The work we do is similar. We just use different tools to do it. But I totally get you and you totally get me, and we understand this realm. We just call it different things. But a lot of people don't understand these things. And unfortunately, some of the things we're talking about are buzzwords now, and people really don't understand. I don't talk too much about the fact that I can hear the Sasquatch, or that I do water purification work with the Sasquatch, because you get the people who want to take pictures. Oh, do you have a picture on your cell phone? No, no, that's not what we're there for. These aren't buzzwords. This is not something for social media. This is work we're called to do in the web of life. It's part of the web of life. And I think that there are a lot of people that don't really understand that, either because they're kind of trapped and confused in the social media aspect of it. Oh, selfie here with Sasquatch. Or they're so turned off by the way that people have made it trendy that they don't believe it and they discount it. But it's real. We've both had very, very, very real experiences. I've had wild animals come up to me, and you have too. And it's harder to talk about these aspects. The Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, and the mer. And we were talking, water is changing. The frequencies of the waters are changing because deep in those shelves, in those continental shelves, there is shifting going on, which is changing the water, which is changing that mer energy. I believe that they will be seen soon.
Yeah.
I mean, we can feel them, and we perceive them in our own ways. I definitely have my relationship with the water is the Sasquatch, because they're guardians of the water. But I do believe that the mer will be seen soon.
Yeah, I believe it too. Recently, I had a channeling of the mer that are in Antarctica, and they were showing me the deep black waters of Antarctica that you can access and talk to them through the obsidian, which is the black glass, because within the core, deep core of the earth is, within the deep core of the earth is rock that holds all the components that make water. They're just separated. And when they come together, they actually excrete through volcano fire, which eventually makes obsidian glass crystal. So if you want to talk to the mer that are deep below in the dark waters, the bioluminescent mer, I highly encourage people to develop a relationship with obsidian. I definitely do believe, as you said, that they're ready to be seen and the communication is open. I was just about to say, yeah, in times of, my coach, like in times of like deep strife, they will come to the surface, but usually in animals like whales or dolphins or freshwater fish. So,
turtles. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, the turtle. Woo. Yeah, the turtle, the frog. The amphibians are the special ones, like crocodile. Crocodiles have a lot to say in Southern America. Ooh, yeah. So
well, this is Gatorland. This is Florida. So this has been so fun and so great. we've been chatting and texting and emailing, and this was just so great. And
Thank you so much.
I don't want it to be the last. I need to definitely contact you and get some products. But why don't you go ahead and put your website back up and let people know again where that information is and where people can find you on Instagram or wherever those social media places are.
Yes, and just thank you for making this connection. It just elates me to just
You
share our
did it. You
stories.
did it. You reached out to me. Thank you.
Just taking that next step really excited me. So again, this is my website, www.therootdoctress.com, where I have my herbal plant medicine tinctures. And then I also have my blog where I document my dream diary, different channelings that I do. And then I also have my Instagram, which I'm currently pretty active on, at the Root Doctress as well.
Scroll back up. What was that red thing?
That is a beautiful cacao bean
Oh.
or pod.
Oh, did you take that picture?
This is a stock image.
Oh,
I wish I did.
I saw you did go to Thailand, didn't you?
Oh, I've been all over. I did go to Thailand. But in Costa Rica, I went to an indigenous farm and they sat me with some beautiful cacao that I ate raw there.
Wow. So fantastic. So thank you so much. Promise that this won't be the last time that we chat.
Salut and merci. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to do this regularly, actually. So I'm going to put her information in the info below. Please, please, please subscribe to her channel. And yeah, I look forward to talking more about you. And I feel like a wonderful connection has been made here because we're talking the same language.
No, totally.
I mean,
it feels so sure. Yeah.
So this is so great. And this is the kind of stuff this ability to come up from underneath is where all the healing is going to come from now in this very complicated thing. Everything's topsy-turvy. And we talked about this. When I do site work, a lot of times I go down underneath and I come up underneath. And so, there's light work. Okay, that only does so much. You have to be able to come from the dark.
Yeah.
And come up and embrace that which is injured and damaged and scared.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Well, I mean, isn't that hoodoo? That is hoodoo and voodoo. You're coming up from the earth, right?
Exactly.
From the ancestral roots, literally. So I mean, I think that this is the kind of work that, people have been made afraid of for all the controller reasons, because this stuff works, and it works because we help you see your connections. That's what we do. We help clear blockages and show you your connections. And that right there is how the healing happens. Not because of anything we did. Your hydrosols clear an obstruction, and then the client can see clearly and create the right path, right? So this is what is going to be very important in the world in a minute. So thank you. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. This Joyce from Medusa was framed for Unguru, and Deja and I are thanking you both and saying ciao.